In this video, we are looking at a couple of basic management tasks for relational data on Microsoft Azure. In this video, we're going to have a look at some connectivity issues why your database might not be able to connect to the end user or to other machines or vice versa. Now, this can be a really good thing. You don't just necessarily want anybody to connect to your database. Then again, you might do. Let's have a look at our resource group. And we can see a resource group for SQL database, and it's made of two separate items. The SQL database, that's the one we'll be using, and the SQL server behind the database. We're going to go and have a look at that server. So you can see, and you can see the trail of where I've been, if you slide left and right, that we've got various items that can configure this server. And what I want to do is scroll down and have a look under the security section to firewalls and virtual networks. And this is going to be the topic of this particular video. So first of all, what needs connecting to your database? Well, firstly, it might be you. And we had a look earlier about how to add your client IP. That's your Internet Protocol address, which is generally expressed as a series of four numbers between 0 to 200 or 0 to 255 with dots in between them. So you can have a very specific people connecting, or in this case machines. However, you might want other Azure networks to be able to connect to it, in which case you can add a virtual network. So you need to have a different virtual network to be allowed access to this network, and they'll need to be in your list of allowed networks. Additionally, you'd also need to allow services and resources to access this server. Now, all of this should be done on the case of the minimum you need to do. So if you don't have any additional services or resources that you need to access this server, then that should be switched off. So you add whichever virtual networks you might have already. If you add a address of 0.0.0.0, then that would allow all Azure services to be able to just access the database. It would bypass the firewall, essentially. Now, you would also need on the machine that is being connected to, so in this case, the SQL database, to have a particular port set up. Ports are inputs to machines. They are numbered inputs. And what happens is the computer scans all of the ports which are open and says, this one's open, I'm going to listen to it. And if a message comes in, it can then react to it. Now, again, you should have as few ports open as possible. SQL Server uses a port code 1433. Access Database for MySQL uses 3306. And PostgreSQL uses 5432. Not 54321, just 5432. And you might be asked about those particular ports perhaps in the exam. 1433 for Azure, 3306 for MySQL, and 5432 for PostgreSQL. Now, additionally, you could have endpoints. So private endpoints allow you to connect from within a virtual network to a private IP address. So in other words, it allows you to connect the database to a virtual network, otherwise known as a VNet. There are alternatives. That's private endpoint. A public endpoint will allow you to connect to devices outside of the VNet. And if you're connecting a mobile device, for instance, then you might need other things. You might need a point-to-site virtual private network, so a way to connect your mobile device to the database using a very secure network, and then you can have a private endpoint to connect this mobile device to your database. So once you use one of these endpoints, and I can't really go through the wizard here because I don't have enough resources set up to connect to it. Once you set up your endpoint, then you will get a private IP address in your virtual network. So effectively, this brings your network into the VNet. So in this video, we've had a quick look at firewall rules, that you can add virtual networks, that they use ports such as 1433 for Azure SQL database, and you can have private endpoints for connecting within a virtual network, public endpoints for connecting outside of the VNet, and other configurations as well. There is one other thing which is connected to this, and this is also security. You can have, for instance, Azure Defender for SQL and advanced threat protection settings as well. You can see it costs about $15 a month per server. It allows you to get assessments and threat protection, and so is probably very useful when you are looking at a device such as a database where you've got data that you need to protect. Now, it's all very well allowing connections to your database, but who is it who should connect? Well, obviously you, but who else? And we can have a look at this. Remember, we're in the SQL Server as opposed to the SQL database, so quickest way to look at that maybe is to go through the resources group, and then you can see the difference between the server and the database. And have a look at the access control, also known as IAM. So we have two basic issues. We have authentication and authorization. So if I add a new role assignment, we can see these two actually here on the same page. First of all, we have authentication. So who are you? So this is me, but equally this is somebody called Susan User, and this is somebody called Jane User who I've set up previously in a different course. Now these all use Azure Active Directory. So that's also known as Azure AD, also known as AAD. It's quite different from Active Directory, which is on, say, Windows Server. This is Azure Active Directory. You may also find people set up on Azure Active Directory for things like Office 365, because the login for that also uses Azure Active Directory behind the scenes. So this can be used, members, with connecting to your database. For example, let's go back to SSMS, and if I connect, you'll see that some of the options include Azure Active Directory. And one of those is the multi-factor authentication, which can be integrated in to Azure Active Directory. So this is when you get a text, an email, just to prove that you are you, you'll get an additional authentication request. So authentication is the way of proving that you are you. When I went through to portal.azure.com, I had to sign in. I had to give my username. I had to give a password. I may, if I've set up multi-factor authentication, also have to give some additional identification as well. Now, you've got a great system there. So if you have got that, then you might as well use it to connect to your Azure SQL database or your Azure SQL managed instance. You wouldn't use it to connect to a virtual machine SQL database because that is just a standalone SQL database. It's an IaaS product, an IaaS. The fact that there is a SQL server on a virtual machine, that's a bit too far removed for Azure to be able to use Active Directory to connect to the SQL server, which is on a virtual machine. So it's only for Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Managed Instance, the PaaS versions. Now, these are therefore the people who can connect. But what should they be able to connect? And this is when we have role-based access control. That is often shortened to RBAC, role-based access control. And so these role assignments consist of three things. First of all, who you are, what you want to connect to, and how much connectivity should you have. So in technical terms, these are security principles, so who you are. Mind you, security principles could also not just be a person. Security principles could be another virtual machine. It could be something like called an Azure function. I know we're not going to be looking at Azure functions in this course, but it could be a different object that can interact with a database. Azure Functions, for instance, they can be started by triggers. Data comes in and they can write to a database, for example. So that is the security principle. The scope, we've already set the scope. The scope is what do you want access to? And then you have the role definition. This is also commonly known as just the role. And you can see there's an awful lot of roles here. But I really only want you to have a look at the top 3. So first of all, owner. That gives you full access. It also allows you to delegate access. In other words, if you got the owner role, you can give other roles to other people. Contributor also gives you full access to manage the resources, but it doesn't allow you to assign roles. So it's access for you, but not access for you to give access to others. And then we have got the reader. So you can view resources, but you can't make changes. Now, additional to this, there may well be additional requirements within the database that you're working with. For example, within Azure SQL, you could have a user who has a particular role, and those roles can be quite varied. I think we've got something like 9 roles here for this particular database. And so you can assign a user a particular role or a custom role to a particular table. So, for instance, it may be that you've got permission to select a particular table, but you can't insert data. Or maybe the other way around. Maybe you've got an Azure function that can insert data but can't reread it. So that is an additional level of roles that are very specific to databases. And there may well be additional roles that you find interesting when you go further down. However, in this particular video, I just want to concentrate on these 3. Owner, which gives you full access and allows you to delegate. Contributor, that allows you full access but no delegation. And then reader, which is viewing the resources. So let's just have a look at what we've seen. We have got who you are. We have got authentication. And that is often shortened to auth-n. Capital A, small UTH, capital N. Authentication. So Gen user, that is a particular person, login, object, that can be authenticated. And then you have got the assignment, how much permission do they have access to, and that is the authorization, which is also capital A, UTH, and then a capital Z. So you've got auth-n and auth-z, or Z, that you will be seeing. And roles, or role assignments, are made up of a security principle, a scope, and a role definition, also known as a role. So these are some additional connectivity and security components. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. This video was previously part of our DP900 Microsoft Azure Data Fundamentals course. If you would like any help studying for this exam, then please go to our website, idodata.com, and find out more about our video course on this exam. We've also got video courses on the AZ900 exam and many other exams. We've also got video courses on SQL and other topics as well. If you would like similar videos to this one, then please click on the link on the end screen. And if you like this video, please click on the like, and why not subscribe and click that bell? That way you'll be notified of any new videos. I'm Philip Burton of idodata.com. Thanks for watching and keep learning.